This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
You all ready for this?
This is a sham.
No. Y'all, just stop.
Get real.
Welcome to DBL. I have my cohorts with me, my colleagues, and my friends.
I like colleagues.
Ouch.
No, I mean, I'm assuming friends. Colleagues makes me feel like I made it.
There you go.
Like I never had colleagues as a comic. I had colleagues.
You are my colleague.
Oh, there you
and
go.
hopefully I'm your friend. All right, here's the scenario for you. Your flight is in the air. It's circling the airport due to bad weather. And there is, as sometimes there is, a baby on board. It's been crying, this baby, for about 40 minutes straight. What do? Do you freak out? Well, that's exactly what a man on a Southwest flight to Orlando did earlier this week. He got so frustrated, he had his own midair meltdown. Take a look.
We are in a tin can with a baby in a echo chamber, and you want to talk to me about being okay?
Okay, because you're yelling.
So is the baby.
Okay, so you're a man.
Did that pay extra to yell?
Okay.
No.
Sorry,
He had a point.
So did the baby. Southwest released a statement apologizing to customers and commending the crew for their professionalism. So are you on the man's side? Are you on the baby side? Do you think the parents were at fault because they failed to keep their baby quiet? Or is the man out of line? Parents, I have two fathers up here. What were your responses? What were your feelings?
Jeff.
First of all, Southwest doesn't need to, we don't need to apologize for everything that happens all the time. That's number one, okay? This man, okay, I'm always on the side of the parent with the crying baby because I've been in that situation.
Totally.
You can't do anything. Out of everybody out of a plane, even that man, I want my kid to stop more than that man does. I'm doing what I can. I walk with the baby. I rocked it. My kids are a little bit older. Thank God.
Screaming at
that's
them,
in the
Jeff?
past. Yeah, it's like that does not help this situation whatsoever. It escalates everything on the whole plane. So I'm 1,000% on the parent side on this. If they didn't do anything, that's the other side of the story. I doubt that you just sit there when your kid is screaming. You're just like, whatever.
That's rare that happens.
I don't think that happens,
right.
okay? I'm talking from a normal parent's perspective.
Sure.
You want that kid to stop crying and screaming about it to the airline attendants when things are already heightened on the airlines is not the answer.
What would you have done to that gentleman if you were the parent?
Nothing.
What are you going to do? Fist fight him?
I know.
There's nothing you can do. You're escalating the situation. You know, there's nothing you can do.
I think the best thing for you to do is probably to ask to switch seats with somebody. I'm sure there'd be a good Samaritan on board to just get you away from them. But like when the plane starts to land, when they're talking about they're circling the airport, once you come down a little bit, especially underneath the clouds, the pressure really increases.
Ears,
and that's why on cue, babies, everybody that's been a child, which is all of us, that pressure in your ear starts really getting to you and they start crying. It's a thing that happens to humans. And the fact that the plane is circling, you think those parents didn't want to land?
Well, I appreciate hearing from both of you as dads. Now let's get to the internet portion of it because so is the baby has been trending. And the reason why is because it may not have been appropriate. It absolutely wasn't. It's never appropriate just to scream and curse and all the stuff and agitate everyone else on the plane. But is it also humorous? Yes, it is. He goes on to say that they're in an echo, like in a tin can echo chamber, and from like the internet sleuths were all on top of this because what they were talking about were parents who were like, that doesn't sound like a screaming baby like an infant. It sounds like a toddler and the parents, and the whole thing was that the parents weren't doing anything is what they're saying. And then the reaction of the guy who's actually filming himself is he's laughing the whole time. Other people seem to think that there's some humor in it as to say, like, yeah, I'm really sick of hearing about this too. Now, do I think this was the right thing to do? Absolutely not. This is never the right thing to do. But so is the baby is going to be like my key phrase for everything else.
So is the baby.
You're hollering, you're screaming, so is the baby.
It is a good hashtag.
Let's highlight idiots on planes. Let's do that. Maybe give him his own website.
That's what videos do.
Yeah.
Security, just so you guys know, did meet the man at the gate, although it's unclear if there were repercussions. I just wanted you all to know that. A school in Washington State is in trouble with parents. They're upset that a recent pep rally fundraiser included a game that's being described some as, quote, vile, and some say disgusting. Let's take a look then. Teachers and staff competed against students to lick marshmallow cream off either side of a plexiglass, okay? You can hear some students saying, ew, gross. I'm just looking. Oh, my God. Okay. Oh, Lord, have mercy. Some parents complained, and the school investigated the matter. I feel like you don't need to much more than this.
Investigate.
Yeah, I know. They found the activity was innocent and not ill-intended. The school also said there was no reason to suggest that organizers used the activity for, quote, grooming.
There is no purpose for this. That is not a game. I taught for 5 years. And Jeff, what really gets to me is I look at that, and when that was suggested, there had to have been at least one teacher that would be like, can we stop the meeting for a second and turn off all phones and then let loose? The mere suggestion of that is, I feel like, borderline illegal for some reason. I don't know. It's so, there's no reason, Erica.
Okay, I appreciate your opinion
no
as a
reason.
former educator, and I understand where you're coming from, and I believe that you're right. I'm going to tell you how this happened, though.
Talk to me.
So, some teacher had just returned back from a bachelorette party, and she was like, oh my God, we had so much fun playing this game. We should throw this game in there too. And all context was out the window, and that's how you ended up with that stupid decision, because it is aesthetically a stupid decision. It's a stupid decision in your brain. Someone just went ahead and did it, and then when people were looking at it, there was judgment. That's what happened. It was a bachelorette party.
Jeff, what goes on if you see this at your kid's school?
Dude, I don't know. That's crazy. My first thing is, did we not just come out of COVID?
I know, that's what I was
Did we
thinking.
not just all get locked
I
down
was
as a
just thinking
planet?
that.
Can you
Go.
We
Yeah.
had conversations with Dr. Coley about hugging people.
Yeah, licking, and then other kids. I'm so sorry to interrupt you.
Finish, yeah.
No, I just was like, how unsanitary. The first thought that came to my mind is like, now you're just spreading everything everywhere.
It's gross, but there's like gross, like bobbing for apples is gross.
That is
and
gross.
then there's gross, like in a weird way, like when you hear about kissing booths, where it's like in the back, people just show up at the state fair and kiss. It's gross. There's a weird sexual connotation to that. Licking anything off of licking whipped cream off of anything has a sexual connotation. There's no discussion.
Jody goes, rap what Al's done?
And she meant by my career?
Yeah,
Yes,
for
okay.
sure, for sure. Oh man, coming up on DBL, our interview with SNL star Bowen Yang, and the co-creator of the hit show Aquafina is Nora from Queens. And several unprovoked shootings reignite the debate about gun violence in America. We're talking specifically about that itchy trigger finger. That's coming up next. Stay with us.
DBL, this show is amazing.
There's a lot going on down here.
I would have been part of the Mile High Club.
Yeah.
So on point. But I'm gonna have a conversation about what's happening now. What is a kissing booth? Is a teacher or like tell
No,
me?
it would be like a booth that you would be handing out brochoures in normally, except there was like
You
a
pay
teenage
like
girl.
$1 and you get to kiss a girl.
Yeah,
A girl?
She was like
Oh yeah.
18,
Yeah.
hopefully.
In like the 50s.
So
Yes.
I never was
At the
able to
fair
go.
or,
I
you
never
know.
went to.
I never saw one in real life.
I
but-
never went to a state fair because DC is not a state, and I never went to a pep rally because my school doesn't have a football team because it's sexist, whatever. So I don't know what these are like, and I've always wanted to
This
go.
is not what they're like.
Oh, okay.
It's just the principal comes out with the jersey over his collared dress shirt, which is horrible. And he goes, we're going to beat Central this year and really show them Tiger pride. And then the cheerleaders come out, and then half the school tries to cut the
The
rest
band
of the
is
day.
there.
And then what happens with that thing with the dunk tank?
Yeah,
I've
the dunk
always wanted to
tank.
do
Oh
that.
yeah, that's a fun.
See, that's
like,
fun.
Because
People still do that.
With the teachers, right?
Sure.
yeah, there's a power dynamic between students and
Right,
teachers,
right.
which I think the dunk tank's a
dunk
perfect
tank
example of
still
like,
exists.
I'm gonna make a fool out
That's
of
not
myself.
sexual at all.
But the licking,
Depending on
honestly, as a teacher,
what
my thought
someone's
was
wearing.
like, your entire job as a teacher is to maintain your credibility. And that really puts a dent in it. And obviously, besides the grossness and it would never happen, the idea that like you be doing that with your students, like I can't then tell them like, hey,
No, but there's always a fun teacher, and that's the one that does the dunk tank. It's not the serious
the
teacher.
dunk tank's
But the
fine.
licking.
The licking,
Oh, the
the
licking
licking
is
is just
bizarre.
like it's just bizarre. And I think the dunk tank helps with students because they're like, hey, Miss Kyle can let her hair down every once in a while and be one of us, but you know we respect her. You know,
My school did a flash mob.
Insane.
We did a flash mob, and we were like, we're cool, but it was all like nerdy and stuff.
I think, I mean, that.
Judge, what'd you
if
say,
we-
3
if
something?
It was found out that we did that on
Okay.
a Friday. I mean,
Really getting into it. He's like,
Welcome back. There have been a lot of headlines this week about people getting shot for just simply making a mistake. We've got a new picture of 16-year-old Ralph Yarl as he recovers. He was shot in the head and arm last week after ringing the wrong doorbell. He's there with his lawyer, Lee Merritt. That's excellent news. The 84-year-old man who allegedly shot him appeared in court yesterday. He pleaded not guilty. Meantime, this man's ex-wife is speaking out, saying she's not surprised because she lived in fear of him and his angry outbursts for years. Then there was this 20-year-old woman who was shot by a homeowner after she and her friends pulled into the wrong driveway in upstate New York. The suspect is also in this case pled not guilty yesterday. Then in Texas, 2 cheerleaders were shot after one said the other opened the door to the wrong vehicle. According to police, she was shot by the man in the vehicle as she was trying to apologize for the mistake. As if those 3 examples aren't enough, there's more, and this one's hard to take. A 6-year-old girl has bullet fragments in her cheek after a neighbor opened fire on her and her parents. He got upset, get this, when her basketball rolled into his yard in North Carolina. Both parents were also shot and grazed by the bullets. So is this, I don't even want to say trend, is this a new pattern? Shooting at people who make mistakes? I feel like we're in, again, the Wild West. What do you guys think about this pattern? Is this new or is this not new?
First, I want to say they're all equally egregious.
Right.
That's important to note because I think that when we talk about context, I don't feel like there is context for shooting someone for simply being in proximity to you, not showing, demonstrating anything that signifies that you're in harm and danger. It's the idea that we have too much accessibility to guns. The guns are in the wrong hands. People exercise zero self-discipline, and they have no regard for human life, and that's where we are.
Right, yeah. We put the guns in the hands of sociopaths. And now, Jeff, we're talking about not even something where somebody walked into the wrong house drunkenly. That's a conversation that we can have.
There's nuance.
We're talking about balls rolling in the yards. We're talking about people knocking on your door for help. We're talking about people turning around in the driveway. And it's just so crazy. I'm going to share this really quickly. But, you know, back when I was with my ex, they had a dog. And, you know, the dog would stop and sniff. And I always felt weird that I felt so uncomfortable lingering in front of somebody's house, especially with a little dog that they couldn't see. And I was like, I'm tripping. Come on, Al, you got to live here. But here we are, 2 years later. 2 years later.
I feel that, I think about that, and I'm in a neighborhood where we've owned a home for 5 years, and when it's super late or super early in the morning and I'm standing in front of someone's house, I think about that all the time. Like, are they wondering why I'm standing in front of their house when I'm walking my dog?
Yeah.
What do you feel about it, Jeff?
I don't know, man. And we're not even hearing about the stories where the people miss. Okay, these are where they hit the ball. These people, first of all, it's hard to hit somebody with a handgun. They're just shooting all over the place. How many has happened that we don't hear about? I think this has happened in the past. I don't think this is a trend in any sort of way. I think we hear about every single shooting. But for a ball to roll over to somebody's yard and you get shot, I would have been shot 10,000 times as a kid. My kids, I mean, it's ridiculous.
But
why don't we just take a test like you do with everything else and just have a test? Are you sane enough to have a gun?
That's right.
We'll answer it right now. Take this test, yes or no.
That's what Japan does.
And
they call your friends and they ask your family.
And just so you guys know, the manhunt is underway for the man who shot the 6-year-old. He had was classified as armed and dangerous. He had a previous run-in and accused of hitting his girlfriend in the head with a mini sledgehammer. So there's the background on that. We'll be right back.
.420, never 420, but quite often associated with consumption of cannabis. Let's get to the root of the term, turning to these sources to verify some of the popular explanations for how 420 came to mean marijuana. Is it based on California Penal Code? No. Despite a common explanation that Section 420 refers to marijuana-related offenses, we looked it up. It has to do with property violations. Is 420 a police radio code related to marijuana? A popular theory, but the answer is no. There can be some variation in communication among departments, but 420 is not a common or standard radio shorthand. Those usually start with 10, like you see in this list of radio codes in California published by Stanford University. 10-4? Is it because there are 420 active chemicals in marijuana? The most sciencey of all the possible explanations, this isn't it either. According to NIH-published research, cannabis contains more than 550 chemical compounds, including THC and CBD. So if all of these are tall tales surrounding the high number, where did it come from? It's hard to verify completely, but the strongest lore dates back to 1971 and surrounds a clique of self-professed hippies in San Rafael, California, nicknamed the Waldos. On the group's official website, they claim it began with a plan to meet on campus and get high at 4:20 in the afternoon. The story goes, eventually the friends' connection with the group The Grateful Dead and some love from High Times magazine helped coin the term, which has today moved from code to commonplace. With your Verify, I'm Abby Larico.
I've saved up enough money to buy a car.
Are you gonna live in it? I feel like you're gonna live in it.
No.
Do you read? I read all the time.
Okay, name a book. It's okay, there aren't that many books.
Welcome back. That was a clip from season 3 of Awkwafina is Nora from Queens. And earlier we chatted with actor and comedian Bowen Yang and the show's co-creator Teresa Shao. Check it out.
Bowen Yang, as well as the show's co-creator Teresa Shao.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's get right to it. You know, much of this show is based on Awkwafina's real life growing up in Queens. Teresa, if you created the show based on your upbringing, what similarities and differences will we see?
Oh, I think you would see a lot less weed in my upbringing. I grew up outside of Boston, and I don't think there was as much smoking in my upbringing. But Nora's life is far more interesting, so that's why we're doing a show about her life.
Well, let's talk about that, because Awkwafina's Nora from Queens is such a hilarious showing the struggles of navigating young adulthood. You two are both wildly successful. But did either of you experience Nora-like struggles when you were first on your own?
Definitely. I mean, you know, I hope everybody can relate to this idea of like really pounding the pavement and like, you know, whether it's like you're driving a rideshare car or you're like, you know, I remember I had to like, gosh, I had to work at like an ice cream shop for a bit, which is again like a perfectly respectable thing. It's actually quite charming and lovely and wholesome. But like, you know, we've all done those things to get to the next thing in life.
Always hustling, but not really knowing what the end game is, I think is kind of the idea of the show. I definitely sold knives, but it might have been like a sort of pyramid scheme kind of.
We were all,
Oh my gosh. I want to congratulate you, Mazel Tov. You're the first Asian American to be in the main cast of SNL. You even got an Emmy nom for it. I'm you're my favorite character, wanted to say it, but we got to know how many scenes with Awkwafina are improvised or is it scripted?
The writing on the page is fantastic to begin with, but Nora is probably the best improvisational scene partner I've ever had.
Wow.
My career. She's just so funny, and some people just like it flows out of them like magic, and I'm like that's Nora. She's so funny. Her well of references and experiences is like unparalleled, unmatched. I think most of the scenes this season, the buttons, like the endings of those scenes, are probably ad-libbed, and they were just so organic and funny.
Also, shout out to Colorado. I know you're from here. We're in Denver. Just wanted to give you a little shout out.
Oh my gosh, Aurora. I'm an Aurora guy.
So Bowen, let's go back. Let's go back to what you're originally saying. Edmund wasn't originally written to be quite like he is. So how did you help shape that character?
I remember going to LA and meeting with all of them, and they were just so open to my ideas. I feel like there's a nice rivalry between Nora and Edmund, in that like Edmund gets to sort of be a little, I don't know, like cantankerous, and she kind of can be the same. And I feel like there was a nice matching of energy there where, you know, I got to bring like some natural attitude to it that I think played nicely off of Nora.
Great word.
Cantankerous?
Great word.
Yeah.
Great word.
Out here just dropping SAT words.
Such an SAT word.
Okay, so listen, this is really important because Asian American actors have been underrepresented in Hollywood for so long, usually playing stereotypical characters. Teresa, how does this show truly represent the Asian American experience without playing into those stereotypes? And were you met with a lot of pushback even pitching this a few years back?
Yeah, I think when we first originally kind of came up with the idea, it was back before like 2018, and there was a sense of like, oh, well, there's another Asian American family show on the air called Fresh Off the Boat, so we can't do something like that. Right. And we're like, well, you know, this show is very different from Fresh Off the Boat. All respect to that show, of course, but it's like, oh, we couldn't have two of the same kind of show. And so I think we've definitely come a long way since then of, you know, obviously Asian Americans, we're not a monolith. There are different elements. You don't have to always represent yourselves in like the kindest of ways. It doesn't have to be like always like, hey, here's the best version of ourselves. Like we can be messy. We can be smoking weed on the couch. We don't necessarily have to be doing all the right things. And so I think that was the most important thing, to make a show that really was authentic to the characters. And to what, you know, to the comedy of the characters that are in the show.
Bowen and Teresa, thanks so much for joining us today. DBL Nation, be sure to catch season 3 of Aquafina is Nora from Queens. It premieres Wednesday, April 26th on Comedy Central. We'll be right back. Thank you. Congrats.
Bye, guys. Mazel tov.
This week, the Biden administration announced new rules saying which car owners are eligible for a tax credit. The Democrats' new law to address climate change is called the Inflation Reduction Act, and it includes a $7,500 tax credit for people who buy electric vehicles. There already was such a credit on the books, but this law changes which cars are eligible, and a lot of Verify viewers asked us to look into those changes. So let's verify. Are all electric vehicles eligible for the new tax credit? Our sources: the full text of the Inflation Reduction Act, the 2008 law that created the old tax credit, and the IRS. The previous EV tax credit had a significant limitation. Only 200,000 credits were available to each manufacturer. So once that number was hit, no more buyers could get the credit for that brand of car. The new law removes that cap. Good news for popular brands like Tesla that haven't been eligible for years. But there are a lot of new restrictions as well. First, only cars that are assembled in North America are eligible. According to Consumer Reports, that rules out some companies that make their EVs abroad, like Hyundai, Toyota, and Kia. Second, it rules out the most expensive models. Trucks, vans, and SUVs are only eligible if they cost 80 grand or less. Sedans and other cars have to be under 55 grand. That rules out some popular luxury vehicles like the Tesla Model S and Porsche Taycan. Third, there's an income cap on taxpayers. Couples have to earn 300 grand a year or less to get the credit. Individuals, 150,000 or less. And finally, there are requirements about where the EV batteries are made and where the minerals in them get mined. There's a list of companies, including a bunch in China, that automakers are banned from contracting with at all. And in the first year this law takes effect, 2023, at least 40% of the minerals and 50% of the other components of the battery have to be from the U.S. or its free trade partners. And those percentages go up every year. If the company hits one percentage mark but not the other, their cars can be eligible for half credit. So while the Inflation Reduction Act does expand the EV tax credit, we can verify, no, not all electric vehicles will be eligible for it. On Tuesday, the government announced which cars will qualify this year. On the list, certain models of Tesla, Ford, Chevrolet, Cadillac, Chrysler, Lincoln, Jeep, and Volkswagen. 30 cars in all, including 6 plug-in hybrids. All but 8 qualified for the full credit. To see if your car specifically makes the cut, you can go to fueleconomy.gov. With your Verify, I'm Casey Decker.
Following the 2020 election, President Trump's staunchest supporters tried to blame the results of the presidential contest on massive voter fraud. Hosts and guests on Fox quickly became fixated on the voting machine company, Dominion. On-air talent claimed that the company rigged the election in support of Joe Biden. Dominion fought back with a $1.6 billion defamation lawsuit. They allege that the network's top executives and talent knew that what they were saying on air wasn't accurate or truthful. Fox isn't backing down. They're standing by their coverage of the 2020 election and say they're protected by freedom of speech and freedom of the press clauses in the U.S. Constitution. It would have been up to a jury to decide, but Fox News settled, ending the lawsuit. And that's connecting the dots.
Welcome back. We've got some amazing deals from our friends at Morning Save. Check them out.
What's up, Steph? What do you have for us today?
Hi, Jeff, and hey, DBL Nation. We are super excited to show off the deals today. There are some that I've definitely got my eye on. You need to check them out. So first up, we've got the 2-pack Body Beautiful Seamless Tank, and the deal comes with 2 tank tops, one black, one white, and they're great because you can use them as a layering piece, or you can wear it as a regular tank top. Normally, these are $45 each, but we've got a 2-pack for $22. So that's saving up to 76%.
And great colors, they go with everything, right?
Absolutely. Now this one, Jeff, it is the Diamond Muse 1/4 carat TW Diamond Drop earrings. These are going to make the perfect Mother's Day gift, and if you order them today, they'll be in time to spoil your mum next month. And normally they're $200, but we've got them for $49.99, saving 75%.
Thank you for reminding everyone about Mother's Day. Don't forget, get your presents early.
Now next up, we've got the Royal Comfort 8-piece Egyptian cotton towel set. So this deal includes 2 bath towels, 2 hand towels, 2 face towels, 1 bath mat, and 1 glove. And if your towels are looking a little bit worn out, this is the deal for you. Normally this set is $99, but we've got it for just $29.99, which is saving you guys up to 70%.
I'm all about the pastel color stuff.
Oh no, it always makes you feel springy. I love it.
And cute.
This is our last product today. It's the Fleck Cosmetics 5-piece makeup set. So this special lip formula is really lipstick, lip balm, and lip stain all in one. Normally, this set is $120, but we've got it for $19.99, so that's saving 83%.
I love it, Steph. All in one package. Good job. Head on over to morningsave.com to snag these amazing deals at the lowest prices, or you can even scan the QR code on the screen to take you directly to these products on Morning Save's website. Thank you so much, Steph.
A lot of people out thinking I should get to a state fair, saying there's some good stuff there. I've never been.
Why are you talking like you're new to this planet?
I'm just saying DC's not a state. I've never had the funnel cake.
But there's 50 states and they're all around you. Hit one of the fairs.
We'll see you later.